Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I'm your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by the lovely Brie Tucker.
Why? Hello, everybody. How are you?
Gosh, what did you get?
Yes, it is. I was trying to get it to be seen, but it's like my room is too bright and it's hard to see on the screen. Yeah, at the Dollar Tree.
At the Dollar Tree. I'm not
That's
surprised.
my life. That's my life. I find the cutest little things, and I got it. I'm like, I have no idea where I'm gonna put it, but I'm gonna get it.
You're gonna get it, yeah. Meanwhile, I see those things and I'm like, and that goes away, and that goes away.
There is definitely a difference between our decorating style. Mine is buy all the crap, and yours is tastefully minimalist.
Yes, buy the expensive crap. Like this little vase I have back here, which I really, really enjoy.
It is beautiful.
And a brass asterisk, apparently.
It was a jack. It looks like a jack.
It is a jack. Maybe it is a jack. But it's also, if you look at the No Guilt Mom logo, this is what's above the eye.
Oh, it is.
It's like a little asterisk. So it really makes sense right there. I just need to color it all different colors. So
see,
if you guys don't know what we're talking about, just go on either YouTube or join us on Instagram Live. And we run videos of this podcast. So join us there.
Right? I'm like, anybody who's just listening to this and doesn't get the visuals is so missing out on half of the fun.
Well, today we have a spectacular episode for you.
I'm fired up about this one.
Yes, it's going to get heated in here. Really inspired by a viral clip that Brie found on Instagram, showed to her husband, and they very much disagreed on the actions taken. So we're going to get into it about what should mom do, what should dad do in this situation, and
what does the internet think we should do?
Yeah.
Sorry.
We'll go into all of that. So let's get on with the show. Okay, Brie, give us the rundown. Tell us about this video that you found.
Okay, so my husband and I, our love language is Instagrams and TikTok reels. And one night we're both doing our little TikTok thing, and I see this TikTok or Instagram, I don't remember. Either way, video of this mom. She's finishing what looks like a marathon race. Mm-hmm. And you can tell that the dad has the camera, and you can hear what sounds like kids under the age of 5 with him. And I think the dad says something like, "Look, here comes mommy." And one of the kids goes, "My cup's down there. Mommy can pick up my cup." And then as mommy runs up, you hear the kids say something like, Mommy, get my cup. And mom looks at them for a minute. You could tell has this face of I am frustrated, and is like, "Hold on. Let me stop what I'm doing and take care of everybody else first, because that's what moms do." And she picks up this cup that had gone over the bystander fencing. I guess gave it back to her kids and then finished her run. Now, granted, she was at the end of the run, but still had places to go and kept running away from the kids.
Oh, yeah. Because I have to tell you, I've done races. Yeah, I've done many races. And when you cross the finish line, what you want is your entire family cheering for you, being like, "Yeah, go mom." Yeah, that is what you want. Because then you go into the finish line stalls, and it's where you get your medal. And this is where this woman was heading. I know she's going to get her medal. She's probably going to pick up some food, depending on how long the race was, because she's tired. She is exhausted.
Right.
Those are the expectations.
Yes.
So seeing this.
So let's just say, did I describe the video pretty well?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
So now I have to jump into what happened next. Now, if you listen to the podcast, you know I love my husband very much. And we are on the same page, dare I say, the same paragraph almost all the time. But I saw this video, and my immediate annoyance was, why in the hell did the dad not stop the kid from yelling at mom? And I just thought to myself, wow, that is so irresponsible. I'm married to such a responsible man that thinks about others. I'm going to show him this video, and he's going to tell me the same thing back. Mm-hmm. So I show him the video, and he looks at it, and then he looks at me and goes, "Yeah." And I go, whoa. But if you were the dad in this video, what would you have done? And he's like, "What the dad in the video did? What am I supposed to do something else?" And I'm like, "You're supposed to tell the kids to leave mom alone so that she can continue racing." And he goes, "Or mom could just not pick up the cup, because mom has free will. I was livid.
You were so mad.
I was so mad. I like threw my phone down and I looked at him. I'm like, you were married to me, and I am telling you that is the wrong answer in the future for me. If that were ever to happen, I was like, you tell everybody to shut up and leave me alone. And then
How did he take that? How did he take that?
He laughed. He laughed, and he did say perhaps he leans in the direction of autonomy too much, because we do have this discussion a lot where things will happen and it's much smaller levels. And I'll be like, well, you could have just told them not to do it. And he goes, yeah, but they have their own choices. I'm like, well, yeah, but sometimes people could use a little bit of guidance. Like, we'll have this conversation often with my kids.
Yeah.
And he'll be like, well, she chose to do XYZ. And I'm like, but she's 15 or she just turned 16. She doesn't know all the options yet. So you should at least help guide her in the direction so that she knows what her options are. And he's like, well, I guess so. Like, he lies very much on the whole, like, people make their own decisions. It's not my responsibility.
That's interesting. Yeah. I don't think many women make that distinction.
No.
I don't think, because also, like, kids need help. Kids do need help.
Especially the kids under 5, they need direction.
And this child definitely needed his cup picked up regardless of it. Yeah. So it's interesting that Miguel's like, oh, the autonomy piece. I didn't think of the autonomy piece, but I think that's something that a lot of men do. And it would make so much sense too, in terms of like mental load and stuff, how we're like doing everything. Like if men see their wives doing everything, they're like, oh, she has free will. She should do everything. That kind of like explains everything.
Right. He sees it. So like so I had to say to him, like, that is not being a supportive parent. And once I said to him what my opinion was, now, and I'm not saying I'm right, and I'm not saying he was wrong, because I do think that it's a gray situation, as we'll get into as this episode goes on. But he did do what you just did. He was like, I never would have thought about it that way. And I'm like, yeah, like the 4-year-old doesn't know that you don't just like yell at people to do stuff. Like they've never been to a race before. They don't know that you don't do this. This is the time where you say, hey, when someone's running, we're not going to yell at them. We're going to let them keep going. And like when you and I talked about this later, you even have some more great advice about it. But I was floored. I'm very passionate about this, as you can tell. Like if someone's watching this right now, like I am jumping out of my seat. I am so passionate about this. So passionate.
It's hard for me. I open my mouth. I'm like, Anna, because Bree's really
Joanne can't get a word in.
I can't get anything in. Oh no, but like what you say about like it never occurring to him, like this seems to be a theme that I see a lot in my life too, because there are things that like we do on autopilot as humans that like it just never occurred to us a different way to do it. Like for example, I was in a teacher conference for my son, just typical parent student teacher conferences, and she was saying something about the brain and how she's reinforcing to the class like how you learn a new skill and it's like stomping through grass, and the more you practice it, the more that grass gets like put down and broken down, so that it's pretty easy then after a while to do the new skill as a habit, And she's saying this to me and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, yes, this is how I teach it as well. Like I teach all those things. Like I know this already. I know this. And I'm like trying to get to the next thing. Talk about this with my husband afterwards and and he's like, well, I'm like, I didn't know what to say in that situation. He's like, well, what did you want to say? I'm like something bitchy. Like I know this already. And that's why I kept my mouth shut. He's like, or you could have been like, you're absolutely right. I teach it that way too. And I'm like, oh, I never thought of it that way. You're right. You're absolutely right. I never thought of it. So it's interesting, like how people get so ingrained in their own behavior that it's not anything malicious on their part. It's just they didn't think of it. And I wonder if like the dad in this video just didn't think of it.
Right. Because that was your thing too. Miguel was like watching it and he's like, well, the dad's job was to record. He had to record. Yeah. He couldn't stop to tell the kids not to do stuff. And I'm like, he couldn't stop to pick up the cup. And I'm like, he didn't need to pick up the cup. He just needed to tell the kid not to bug mom. That's all that needed to happen.
So this is a 2-part situation, I think. So I'm going to give you my take right after this. When I saw this video for the first time about the mom picking up the cup after finishing her race, first of all, I empathize with her because I have finished many a race and know how it feels at the end. And I'm like, damn, she should have gotten some cheers there. Like, I just felt like it was a real bummer for her. And then I saw after she picked up the cup, you could tell the aggression in her voice.
Oh, yeah, she was
not
pissed.
happy about picking up the cup.
I'm going to say she was pissed. She was pissed.
She was pissed. She didn't want to pick it up. She's like, well, that's what moms do, stopping everything she does for everybody else. And she's not wrong.
Yeah. No, it's not wrong at all. And drop. It's a thing. Yeah. We all do it.
It is. It is a thing. So the first part of this is like what should have happened in an ideal world.
Okay.
Yes. The dad should have told the kid, hey, let's cheer for mommy. She just accomplished this amazing thing. Let's go, mommy.
Right. I know your cup's right there, and we'll get your cup right after we cheer for mommy. That kid would have been like, okay. Because his whole problem was I needed the cup. You just had to tell the kid. It'll come in a minute.
And I think people think of that, like they don't think of that with kids, that how highly teachable kids are. They look at their child and they're like, oh my gosh, he's feral.
So many of them are though. Oh, that just made me think of another video I have to send you later.
I see this time and time again. I have a friend actually whose son is in kindergarten, and she says that one of the after school workers came up to her and said that talking to her son is like talking to a brick wall. He's like doing his own thing and like not paying attention to you when you're talking to him. And I'm like, dude, boy's 5 years old. He's so interested in what he's doing. You honestly, with a 5-year-old, be like, hey, bud, can you look at me in the eye so that I know you're listening to me? I'm here. And when we talk to people, we look at people in the eye. Can you do that right now for me?
Yeah. They don't.
Problem solved.
Yeah. They don't get these. I mean, and that's another thing we have to think about. Like, I think honestly, we have to teach our kids a lot more social skills than we had to learn when we were their age, because we grew up in the world where like we were everywhere all the time. Kids do so many things. Our life is so digital now. I'm not even going to say kids. Our lives are so digital now that they don't get those opportunities to learn this stuff. So we have to take more time to pause and be like, they just don't know it.
And I also think like kids just need social skills instruction, period. Like I could have benefited just from social skills instruction when I was younger. Instead, I remember the preschool telling my parents that they needed to enroll me in gymnastics because Joanne was so klutzy that all the other people are scared of her. And I'm like,
okay, is that the same preschool your sister went to? If so, your parents really need to find a new one.
It is the same preschool that my sister went to.
Someone who helped run that kind of thing, that's an awful preschool.
It's awful. It was awful. So instead of actually like dealing with the social skill issue, being like actually curious about the situation. Because I think that's really what gets me is like, the curiosity stops. It's like you see the behavior, you make the judgment against the child, and bam, you treat the child that way for the rest of all time. Unless you pause and you're curious and you actually take the time to teach and see how they deal with like instruction in it. Because most kids, if you're playing with them, you tell them like directly, they do what you want them to do.
Yeah. So with that being said, that mom could have replayed the situation, and instead of doing what she did not want to do, which is stopping running and picking up a cup and handing it to her kid, she could have ran by and even been like, mom's running right now, can't pick up cups.
So that's the second part of the situation, because the first part, is ideal, what happened in ideal world, but we can't control ideal world. Yeah. And I feel like we spend so much time complaining about male behavior in ideal world that we forget that we have control ourselves over the situation. Like one of our Happy Mom Summit guest speakers, Erica Cartledge, she said this phrase and it has stuck with me for all time. So if you have a pen and paper, write this down right now. You teach people how to treat you. And I'm going to say that again. You teach people how to treat you. Because what that mom did right there is she just did exactly what her 5-year-old asked. I mean, when did 5-year-olds get in charge? They didn't. The 5-year-olds are not in charge. They're not in charge. And I say that, and I don't mean it to shame anybody out there. I want to say that
meant in a judgment way. Yeah.
I want to say that to reaffirm. 5-year-olds are like the terrorists that you don't negotiate with. There's no negotiating with terrorists. I mean, that's something like I keep in my mind all the time with kids. I'm like, don't negotiate with terrorists. Don't negotiate with terrorists. When I'm in these parenting situations, because first it makes me laugh.
It's hard. Yeah, you do need to, sometimes you need to have that perspective given to you because pissed off.
You're pissed off.
Fun. And you need someone to remind you where you're at. Like, just a reminder, you're pissed off that you're losing an argument to a 4-year-old. Just want to make sure you're aware of that.
But don't negotiate with terrorists. They're not in the same logical space you are. They are totally like monkey brains. Like they're like chimpanzees in the zoo. That's what they are. Throwing like in the corner, throwing their poo. That's what they are. That's what they are. If you think of your 5-year-old in that respect, and then like bump them up just a little bit to be like, I could teach him something. I could teach them something. That's about the level you come in at.
Okay.
And so with this situation, just going into it and knowing that you have control here over how that 5-year-old reacts. And I'm not saying like you have control before they react. You don't. Yeah. But you could come in and correct the behavior. It's something in teaching you call a teachable moment. This child just did something that was totally against social norms, made you upset. You could come in and teach them how to do it. And like I would.
Could you also teach your husband? I don't know. Just say it.
Yes. Maybe. Well, exactly. It's a teachable moment for him as well.
Teachable moment for everybody.
I would have come into that situation probably after running, but like, I mean, I have the experience as a teacher. Yep. I've heard these things. Yep. I know these strategies, and you are knowing these strategies too, because you listen to our No Guilt Mom podcast. But I come in and be like, oh my gosh, I can't pick up the cup because I just finished a race. Can you cheer for me? Go, mommy.
And I can guarantee you that kid would have been like, heck yeah.
Go. And if the kid was like, no, my cup, I would have bet in my mind, okay, I'm going to go get my post-race massage now that they have those massage tables. Like, that's kind of sucks. But my husband, I think, would have also keyed in on that fact. If I said that, he would have been like, go. And some kids, that child could have been so fixated on that cup, he won't cheer.
Yeah.
And that's
entirely possible.
It's okay for that time. But
I'm curious though, like, I'm just curious how many people like just saw it as the expectation was there for mom because dad didn't say anything. And
what do you mean?
Well, I mean, okay. So when I saw the video, I brought in my own baggage and my own bias.
Okay.
So my own bias when I saw the video, because again, this is an important point, I think. I think you and I interpreted that video differently.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely know my husband and I interpreted it differently. So when I saw the video, I interpreted dad not saying anything to the 4-year-old and allowing the 4-year-old to yell at mom and not even saying no when the mom came over, not stopping mom, not correcting any situation there, that was dad saying, yeah, that's mom's job. Yeah, he's calling for his mom. Mom should take care of it because that's what moms do.
I think that assumption is pretty standard. I think a lot of women would assume that.
Right. And again, like I'm assuming that because the person I was married to, not is now, but was that mindset. And so I would have been pissed and annoyed and wanted to rub it in his face that I had to do it myself. Mm-hmm. But, I do think that had I been that mom running, and hopefully my teens aren't sitting there begging me to pick up a cup. But if I was in a scenario where my husband was with some kids and they asked me to pick up a cup, I don't think I would have assumed he was doing it to be lazy. I think I probably would have taken that moment to pause and teach. But that's because, again, my bias are different with my current husband in that scenario. So
it's true.
When you saw the video, what did you assume? Like, were you assuming that the dad was saying like, not my job, not my circus, not my monkeys? Or did you see it as something different?
I was just thinking of it as a teachable moment. You have to teach people how to love you. And so if that was like her first race, nobody probably knew how to react in that scenario. I've had many circumstances in my life where I've had to teach people how to love me, and like even learning myself about how to love me.
Okay, when you
Because
say
I
it
remember,
that way, it's so soft and fuzzy. And that's
yeah,
like
but like,
such a better way to look at it than my hate,
no,
than
but
my
you
rage,
trust
than
me,
my
I want to
rage.
buy a voodoo doll every day for your ex, but like I say, like every time we mention him on the podcast, like something else, like the Sabrina Carpenter video Taste. Have you seen that yet?
No, you guys told me
Oh,
that
you
this
should.
weekend. I
Yes, you
need
need
to.
to watch that. There's a scene with some voodoo dolls in there. Anyways, there's been a lot of circumstances in my life where I've had to teach my husband like what I like and what I don't like. I remember one that caused a lot of conflict for us actually. It was my birthday or it was Mother's Day or something, and he completely forgot, but he stopped for a card on the way home. And I really took offense to that. I was like, "You didn't think of me at all." Like, and it just came out. I'm like, "All you did was stop for a card." He's like, "Fine, I won't do anything for you next time." It's just started a huge fight. And
Oh
I
my gosh.
realized in that moment, I was like, I don't want big gifts or anything. I just want you to know, I want to know that I am on your mind, that I am
Yeah.
being thought of. And he's like, okay. And he's taken that to heart ever since then. It's been good for like Mother's Day and stuff. He'll like get me flowers. He'll show me he's thinking about me by making plans before the last minute. I mean, that's
Right.
really the issue there.
Yeah.
But there was a little conflict there before I knew that about myself, that that's what I needed. And he knew that about me. And so with the video, there's probably that conversation that needs to take place of exactly what she needs in that moment instead of him ignoring the 5-year-old. And there's a lot of other interpretations of this behavior other than Brie and my own. And we are going to get into those right after this. Okay, Brie, our favorite part of the podcast. Brie reacts and gets mad at the internet. Here we go.
I don't let Joanne tell me the responses first, so that you guys can get the freshness.
So what happened is that I took this video and I made a commentary video about it, and I posted it on TikTok and Instagram. And on TikTok, it got a lot of views. Like a lot of people had things to say about this interpretation. And
they weren't all G-rated.
They weren't all G-rated. And
Or
I think that the comments that are said here, things that exist in our culture and our society that are always underneath the surface, but the people on the internet decide to say them out loud, like all the time.
I know, right?
So, yeah. So it's worth us talking about them in this way, bringing them to light, because I think it's something that everybody has to push against. Now, I get these comments and I'm like, whatever, I'm not going to listen to them. That's the only way I can keep my mental sanity on the internet. But here we go.
I'm putting my hand up so I can't see my screen where these are up on. So, okay.
Here we go. Here we go. So the first one. So the dad gets blamed because your 4-year-old doesn't care about the race and asks mom to help. Okay, keep hating men.
We're not hating. Just wanting them to think about, I don't know, someone other than themselves.
No, it's so funny because it's just like one little criticism of one little circumstance, and then it's put into this broader thing of you hate all men. Yeah. No, that's not true.
Not at all. Not at all.
I'm married to a man. I have to say that many men are wonderful. But as my daughter reminds me of this statement all the time, it's not all men, but it's always men.
I mean, I like that. It's not all men, but it is always men.
Yes. It's this like, I mean, we have to talk about the patriarchy and just how these expectations are in place. And a lot of men, when this behavior is criticized, will come and like defend it to the death and say we are like she-woman male haters and everything. And it's just not true.
Okay, wait, can I also just say like when women say something negative about men, we are the B word, we are the C word, we are like so many terrible things. And yeah, we're all out to hate men. But when men say something negative about women, we're supposed to just take it.
Yeah,
because if we respond negatively, then we're back to being the B word or the C word and all of that. And it's like, it's no, if you expect us to take criticism, then you need to take it too.
It's like, a no-win situation right now.
Yes. Okay, so that was one. Oh, there's quite a few I saw on this page.
Yes. But in regards to that, just keep speaking your mind, No Guilt Moms. Just keep speaking your mind. You're going to get the hate from these people. And you know what? Here's another thing. if you wouldn't accept advice from them, you don't need to accept criticism from them. Would I accept
Ooh, I
advice
like
from this
that.
person? No, he wouldn't be able to tell me
I
anything.
like that. That's a good point.
Keep that in mind. Okay, here's one that's a little fun. It's from a woman. Stay single, ladies.
Yes. Which then brings up the point. Like, we went to brunch on Sunday and we were in Scottsdale, which has, become the bridal.
It was totally bachelorette
party central, man. Oh my God.
We went to this like very girly restaurant that we picked up beforehand. It was called Mon Chéri. And Shayna's like, Mon Chéri. Ho, ho, ho.
So fancy.
But it is this gorgeous restaurant where there's like flowers on the ceiling. There's like an ombre pink roses on the hallway outside. It is gorgeous. It's gorgeous.
It is gorgeous, gorgeous.
It's mostly like women, groups of women there, as were we. And so there's bachelorette parties coming up, including a very pink bus called the Champagne Train. Bree's holding it up if you're watching this video.
If you're watching it live, you're getting to see my pictures. Keep going.
There's a lot of bachelorette parties, and there was one woman posing outside by the big flowers and the heart. And, we walk by, and the typical thing you say to brides you see on bachelorette parties is you're like, congratulations. And I'm here now going like, I cannot say congratulations. I cannot, because I do not believe. So it's so complicated. There's the heart. I do not believe this is something that we should be congratulating women for. I want to go up to this bride and I want to be like, congratulations. And know that you are completely whole within yourself. Without a man. And I'm so happy that you're taking this time to go out with your girlfriends and really have fun and celebrate you. Keep doing that. It does not stop here. It does not stop.
Right.
Do this for every birthday. Do this for every big accomplishment in your life. Do this just because. But this is not your last congratulations event. It's going to go on from here. Because I feel like it's the epitome. Like, you get married. That's what I thought. I'm like, I'm so special. And this is like my day. And that's the most special, bestest day ever.
Well,
and it's not.
Okay, that does make me think of something, because my daughter is way into Friends right now. Well, she always has been, but she was watching an episode the other day where it was one where the day after Monica and Chandler got married, and they're checking out of their hotel room or the bridal suite, and are checking out the bridal suite. Yes, and then Monica's like, no longer a bride, just a wife from now on. I'll never be a bride again. And it's like, yeah, because like you think that that's like the epitome of this thing, and it's not. There's a lot more, but.
There's a lot more.
We love our hubbies, okay, next one.
Here's another one. And I actually commented on this one. I commented on this one. I said, this commenter said, what's funny is if you reverse the roles and the kid asked the dad, he would have gladly picked it up. The mom wants to be a martyr so bad.
Oh, please tell me what you said back.
I am very diplomatic in my comments. I'm like,
you are.
And yet so many women disagree with you. Perhaps there is something here that you don't understand and should be curious about rather than blindly giving your opinion.
Did they respond back?
No, I don't know.
Of course not.
I didn't go back and check. But I'm like, there's so much here. There's so much here because
Mom does not want to be a martyr. Mom doesn't want to be a martyr. But in some cases, mom feels like she has no option but to be.
Yeah. Because she is taking care of the kid all the frickin' time. I mean, moms do most of the parenting. There's been several. I mean, even now with like women actually fulfilling more roles outside the home and making more money than men, the women in relationships who make more money than men still have more household duties than their husband and still fulfill more parenting roles than their husband on average. So it's.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, like, and I think that I want to be like crystal clear on this. Like, yes, a lot of cases, mom is pushed into a role where she is a martyr. But again, we're not sitting here just if you have ever listened to No Guilt Mom, or if this is your first episode, like, please know, we are not here to complain about it. We are here to just point it out, and just this episode should solidify. You should have that conversation with your partner. Yeah. You should have this conversation with your kids, because you don't have to be the martyr. You don't have to do the stop and drop. You don't have to live that life where like you are second to everybody else in your family.
Absolutely.
You don't. And you know what? Absolutely. Your family likes to know. They actually do like to know, like you said earlier, how to love you.
They do. They do. They want to make you happy. I mean, you have probably seen instances of your kids where they know you're sad and upset, and they will go around following you around being like, Mom, what's wrong? Mom, what's wrong?
Yeah.
And you're like, I just want to be left alone. They want to make you happy. And when we have those conversations with them, then they don't have to guess. They don't have to be like, okay, well, maybe I could do this, or maybe I can do that. Or like, even as a kid, I mean, I felt like I was just a horrible daughter when I made my parents unhappy. And it's not my parents' fault. I mean, they didn't know that they should communicate these things. They had no models to do that.
Right.
But being able to tell your kids those things, not putting the burden on them, but being there to like teach them these scenarios is so powerful. And it really shows also to the outside world. I mean, you get comments such as like, oh, they're so considerate of other people. You know, they're my favorite kid to have in class, like those kind of things. When you do these teachable moments and you make that uncomfortableness, because then they won't make that uncomfortableness mistake again to somebody else outside the family.
Exactly. Are we good? Are we done? Or are there any more
I
comments?
want to add just one more, which really encapsulates this whole thing. It is a positive one, but it shows exactly probably what Mom was feeling in this scenario.
Yeah.
And it says, I would have been sad that was all my kids were focused on, but they're kids. I would not have picked up the cup. Just keep running and smiling. Just knowing that it's a complicated situation and we have feelings and you have feelings and you have needs too. I would add to that, keep running and smiling, that I would have definitely brought it up afterwards because that would have irked me.
Bree's is not the best at keeping her emotions under wraps. So I probably would have been the one that I would have done the exact same thing that Mom did when I was in that scenario when my kids were that little. If that had happened, well, first of all, you never would have caught me running. But regardless, had that happened, I would have been all passive aggressively angry about it and everything. But if it were to happen to me now, I would 100% have smiled and just kept on running. And actually, you know what? Knowing my kids,
to Miguel afterwards.
Yeah. And if it were my teens that did something like that, I would have been like, hell no, pick it up your damn self as I run by, smiling. Maybe with a middle finger at the same moment. But you have to understand having teens.
Having teens is a different ballgame. It's different. Well, we hope that this episode has encouraged you to maybe have a conversation that you needed to have about something that you were unhappy with happening in your home. And until next time, remember, the best mom is a happy mom.